Hi everyone. I'm putting this video together so those who weren't able to make it this morning are still able to learn some information about Google Classroom. And then for those who were there, if you forget anything, you can always review it again in this video. Okay, so first I showed how you add a class. So when you are in Google Classroom, these are all my current Google Classrooms, you hit this add button right here and you click create class. Now for me, I'm going to just put in general science. Okay, my section, I would do the period. So period 1, I don't teach that period, so I'm going to do that one. And then I just do science. But you can pick whatever you would like. I am in D104, so I can put that. Then I can just hit create. Okay, so if you don't like your picture on here, you can change it. You can change it to a different theme. You have a bunch of different subjects up here, or you can upload a picture. If you want one from Google, you can just Google it and then download it to your computer and then upload it right up onto here. That's what I did with my other classrooms. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to one of my normal classrooms now because it's all set up. So right here is the code that you would give to your students so that they are able to add into your Google Classroom. They cannot add into Google, or they cannot access your Google Classroom until you have given them this code. Now I had somebody ask me about what some of her students weren't able to access her Google Classroom, but some were. So there's a way that if the code stops working, you click this little gear up here for settings. You can go to your class code in general, and then you can hit reset code. That'll reset your code so that you can give it out to the new students or the students who are able to add and see if this one works. That typically has worked for me in the past. It will not affect those students who are currently in your class list. It'll only affect the ones that weren't able to add on. It might let them add on now. Okay, so in settings right here, there's a few things. With the stream, the students right now in my class can post and comment, but I like to actually remove that so that I can only post and comment. I don't really like my students being able to post and comment on there because sometimes it's more disruptive than it is helpful. So you can take that off or you can add it. You don't really need to worry about these because we're not doing grading with Google Classroom. I mean, unless you are, I just don't because then I'd have to transfer it over to Synergy. You can edit any of those things that you added when you added the class. Okay. So you can go to classwork and I have everything organized by unit for the entire year. So typically I add everything at the end of every day into my Google Classroom. So the kids can access it if they're absent or if they need to review. It's very nice when parents ask, what could they be doing at home? I could just say they can review the day that we did and go back over everything, especially if there's Google Slides or articles and whatnot, but I have all of the information up in here for them to access. So that's what I typically use Google Classroom for, but now that we're doing distance learning, it's a little bit different. So if you want to add something into your Google Classroom, you hit this create. I typically, if I'm just doing this for absent work or for review for my students, I would hit material, or if I want to add links for them or articles for them to read or anything like that, I just typically always do material. Even if it's a test or whatnot, I just always do material. It's very simplistic. I click the title of it. When you want to add something, you can add something in from Google, YouTube, a file, or a link. It'll add it right in here. And then you can pick all of the classes that you want it to add to, and then which topic you would like it to be under to make it a little bit more organized. You can also choose which students receive it. So this is actually really awesome for tests because I give out different tests. We typically give out 3 different tests. We have an A test, a B test, and an M test for modified. So our students who receive a modified test, I am able to give those students just the modified test. So that's how you would do it if you were to be doing a test, or if you want to modify their worksheets or whatnot, but you only want to give it to certain students, you can click which students you want. However, if you're going to do this, you cannot add it to another class if you're doing that. So you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to do there. You can also, if you want to do a quiz assignment, you can put it on there. There's just a lot more that goes into it. There's a due date. You can still do the topic. There's grade importing, which I don't think we can do. It's kind of in beta testing right now where it's going to be able to import into Synergy, but I don't think we can do that right now. It can give you originality reports, especially if you're doing short answer responses, which is kind of nice. I've never used this before, but it's something I'm planning on using. I've also never added a rubric, so I don't know how that would be, but this is a spot if you would like to add a rubric for your students to see. You can also change your points if you would like to. If you were using Google for grading, that would be great. Again, you can click which classes you would like to add in. There's just a lot more that goes on with assignments and quizzes. That's typically why I don't use it. I just like how simplistic materials are, but it's up to you and what you would like to do. You can lock their Chromebooks. You can do this through a Google form too. We can't do it right now because not every student is on a Chromebook, but if you were back in your classroom, it takes away everything for them to click out of their screen. So when they're taking their tests, all they see is their test in the Google form. They don't see anything else. Up here, so when you're ready, you hit assign. That will get sent out to all the kids in Google Classroom, in your Google Classroom. You can also schedule it on when you would like it to be released. You can also save the draft and you can release it later. So it's up to you and how you would like to do that. If you are going to send out a worksheet that you want your students to do, but it's not a Google form and you want it on a Google Doc, you can do that. So let's see. Let me find the one I was working. Okay, so here's a Google Doc that I might be assigning to all of my students. It's more of a template right now at this point because they're going to work on filling it out themselves. So right here it says students can view file. I can click make a copy for each student, and that way each student now has a copy of that Google Doc that they can edit themselves. So again, it's more like a template and not so much like everyone's writing on one doc. Again, everything that was like in the quizzes is right here. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this and not save that. You also, each Google Classroom has a Google Drive folder. So if you were making a student have their own copy of the Google Doc, you could access that in here. It would be in its own folder up here for that assignment that each student you'd be able to go in and see each student's. They also have a Google Calendar. So if you're adding due dates, it'll appear on their Google Calendar and they will be able to see it on there. They will get notifications right before it's due if they have the Google Calendar app downloaded on their phone. They will also get notifications when you post new material on Google Classroom if they have the Google Classroom app downloaded on their phone. Most of them do because it makes it very convenient for them, but not everyone does. So this is some stuff that I've already uploaded into the Google Classroom. I've played around with the quizzes a lot, and that's why I have all those blank forms. Okay, so people, you can see who is added into your Google Classroom, and you can adjust if you need to. You can also invite the parents on here. They will not have access to your Google Classroom. However, they will get summaries. You can see it, it's in settings. They will get guardian summaries. That's something that they can do. I'm not exactly sure how that all goes. I do give my parents the options at the beginning of the year to for me to add them if they would like it. So I've added a few in here, but I haven't really gotten feedback on that. So you can add other teachers too to your Google Classroom if you would like to have more than one in there. It works great for co-teaching. they can add stuff and see everything that you see. Again, if we were doing grades in here, you would have this on here for assignments and quizzes and whatnot. But again, I typically just use materials. You can see all these are materials to put information in. I haven't really used Google Classroom as a way for my students to, I guess, access everything that they need to have turned in. So it worked well when we were in the classroom, but now that we're not, I'm probably going to be using assignments more, especially because you can put in the due dates on there for them to see. Trying to think of anything else. If you have any questions, please email me. I would be more than happy to help. If you want, I can do a Zoom meeting with you and help you in any way that I can. I know this is new for some of us, and I've been using it for a while, so I have no problem helping anybody that would need some help. Just let me know. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.